In Aska, lay claim to unspoiled lands and pave the way for a fierce Viking tribe. Craft the ultimate settlement, solo or together with up to 3 friends. Trust in the gods and the power of the Eye of Odin, and summon intelligent NPC villagers to provide camaraderie and relief from the tolls of survival in this ambitious and challenging game from Sand Sailor Studio. So, should you play Aska? Yes, you should. Stick around, and I will tell you why. Aska is a difficult game to describe. At first glance, it looks like any of the other early access survival crafter games on the market. However, once you dive into it, you realize it is like any of the other early access survival crafter games on the market, with the added twist of RTS survival games like Diplomacy is Not an Option and Becastled. Take all of those concepts and then throw the village building of Medieval Dynasty on top, and then add a smash of the villager system from RimWorld, and you finally got a reasonable description of what Aska is. It's a lot, and that is what makes this game so special. There is a lot going on in Aska, and given it does not really have a tutorial and kind of just drops players into the world with zero explanation, I am not surprised the game is currently sitting at 79% positive reviews on Steam. There is a very real possibility you will lose in Aska. It is a tough game. Most of my village was destroyed during a blood moon during my first playthrough, and it did not make sense to continue the run, so I lost about 12 hours of progress. We will touch on what blood moons are later in this review. Essentially, your goal in Aska is to survive as long as you can and build up a thriving and prosperous village full of happy villagers while hunting and defeating the bosses around the map. When you first fire up Aska, you'll get a little cutscene and then be dropped off on a beach next to your crashed ship with no explanation of what to do. You're kind of just expected to figure it out. You'll do the basic survival crafting things like running around, gathering sticks, picking up stones, and punching creatures that are just trying to mind their own business. Make sure to grab the 5 Jotun blood that spawns in the crates in your ship. The game does not tell you to grab them, and I had to run back to the shipwreck once I realized you spawn with 5 Jotun blood. The only help you'll really get from the game is the game telling you to build the Eye of Odin because the gods decree it. The game doesn't really start until you build the Eye of Odin. This is a magic beacon that consumes Jotun blood to attract villagers to your base. Jotun blood is the magic resource in Aska that can be mined from Jotun blood shards found throughout the world and occasionally dropped by enemies. One thing I absolutely adore in Aska is the resource finder. This is a helpful tool that will scan all resources in a radius around your character. It is super helpful in order to find things that are hard to see, and I wish more games would add something similar to this. Once you summon a villager, you'll need to build them a house and provide them with food and water. You can assign your villagers to workstations and have them do anything from gathering wood, crafting tools, manning watchtowers, and praying at altars. The game is pretty grindy, and in order to make any meaningful progress, you must have villagers helping you out. You can automate pretty much every task in Aska with the help of villagers in the corresponding workstations. It's satisfying to watch your village grow and not have to do any of the menial tasks you had to at the beginning of the game. If you optimize your villagers and workstations correctly, you will never need to cut a tree, mine a stone, or make a tool. It will all be done for you. This is important because there are tasks that can take a long time. Once you start building the advanced buildings that require carpentry materials, you soon realize you need a good 3 or 4 villagers just dedicated to building to get these builds done in a reasonable amount of time. Some buildings will require upwards of 50 heavy items, and you can only carry 1 heavy item at a time, so you can imagine how long it will take to run back and forth from the build site into the warehouse to grab these items. Something as simple as crafting a metal axe also takes a surprising amount of time. The iron ore needs to be mined from a cave and transported back to your village. Once at the village, it needs to be smelted into iron blooms at the bloomery, which requires coal, so make sure you have a villager manning the coal maker. The iron blooms then need to be heated and hammered into certain metal parts at the forge, which in this case would be a metal axe head. Once the metal axe head is created, it needs to finally be crafted into a metal axe. All of these different steps take time, and it is impossible to do all on your own in a reasonable amount of time. You can see that just hammering the metal axe head into the proper shape takes a good 20 seconds. The villagers all feel unique as well. Each villager comes with set traits, whether good or bad. You need to figure out which villagers work best at which stations. Some villagers will work best at night, while some villagers will be best geared toward crafting. It's a fun little game trying to figure out how to best optimize your village, given your villager perks and the current objectives you need to hit in order to progress your village. I've seen a lot of reviews complaining about villager AI, and honestly, I've really not had any issues. From my experience, villagers do a good job navigating the world and completing the necessary tasks required for their workstations. Once you have a good healthy villager count and have all of the menial tasks automated, you'll need to prepare your village defenses. Your village will be attacked. The attacks show no mercy. If a group of skeletons or joggers are left unchecked in your base, you can kiss your village goodbye. The game shows no mercy in this regard. The monsters will smash all of your buildings and kill your villagers, rendering your village inoperable and all but ensuring you will not survive the next blood moon. Blood moons are random moon cycles that, when happen, will spawn waves of enemies that will attack your base. On top of the blood moons, there are also other events that will happen and trigger other creatures to attack your base, like wolves and bears. This is a game where you need guards, walls, and towers. Do not skimp on your defenses. You will regret it. The combat in Aska is nothing groundbreaking, but it gets the job done. There are different heavy and light attacks with the different weapons. There are swords, axes, bows, shields, and more. Pretty much any weapon you would expect to find in the hands of a Viking. There is a stun mechanic in the game. All enemies have a yellow bar, and once you reduce their yellow bar to 0, they will become temporarily stunned, making them easy targets. I appreciate all of the different animations that come with combat. It all feels satisfying, and it's really fun to be knocked back or dodge a big attack. I would love to see some sort of magic combat system in the game. The game touches on magic through the prayers, and it would be cool to be able to wield a Viking staff and rain down fire on the hordes of enemies trying to break into your base. The creature design in Aska is great. There are lots of different types of unique monsters and animals found around the world. All have meaningful purposes in the game and have unique characteristics that make them feel fresh. I specifically love the design of the bosses in the game. There are currently 5 bosses in Aska that can be found around the world and killed. Each drops an important material needed for building the prayer shrines. I would love to see some more unique drops from the bosses. After you kill one once, there is little reason to return and kill it again, since you have its only unique drop already. The world currently consists of one giant island. This island contains everything you need, and it's where you spawn. You can build boats, but there's nowhere to really go unless you are hunting for rare fish in the ocean. There are all kinds of interesting points of interest that can be found around the map, so it's definitely worth fully exploring the island. I am hoping future updates will add better boats in other islands or places to explore and raid. This is a Viking game after all, and I want to act like a Viking. This leads me to my next gripe with Aska. It struggles to give you a purpose at times. Yes, you have to survive and upgrade your village. Yes, you can hunt bosses. But why? Why am I doing all of this? Aska does not feel like it has an endgame goal. I know the game is in early access, and I hope the developers will add more meaningful endgame content in future updates. But right now, there really isn't a lot to do in the endgame, and it can feel a little disappointing. Touching on the village progression specifically, I love it. All of the buildings in Aska are important and feel unique. I love all the different types of buildings in the game, and they all look different. There are workshops, houses, hunting stations, prayer shrines, healing huts, and more. Pretty much anything you can think of. There are so many that I cannot possibly mention them all in this video, and the updates continue to add more. One building I particularly love and find helpful are the shrines. The shrines can be built once the corresponding boss is defeated, and once built, will provide powerful buffs to your entire village. Villagers that are assigned to pray at the shrine will grant the shrine buff to yourself and all of your villagers in your base, giving massive experience boosts, bonus health, stats, and more. These buffs will be critical to the success of your village in the late game, so make sure you build these shrines as soon as you can. If you want to succeed in Aska, you need to make sure you have proper gear as well. Aska has tons of different weapons and clothing options, which I appreciate. In fact, there are tons of other items in the game, like food, from basic food like berries, to fish soup, to meat pie, to cheese, and many others. Aska gives you a great way to store all of your items in warehouses, and it's easy to sort and set minimums and maximums on items, so you always have what you need. Despite it being easy to manage resource amounts, that is about the only thing the UI in Aska makes easy. This game needs an experienced UI designer to redesign the entire UI. It is absolutely horrible. It can be confusing to do the simplest things like creating preset villager schedules and trying to figure out which perks your villagers have. Aska is a complicated game, and complicated games need good UIs to help guide players in the correct direction. This game does not have that, and it suffers for it big time. A lot of negative reviews on Steam I see are related to the UI, and I do not blame them at all. I like to think that I'm a reasonably experienced gamer, and I have trouble trying to do the simplest things in the game sometimes because the UI is so confusing. Unrelated to the actual gameplay, but the server browser in the menu also does not have any search or filtering options, forcing you to click through each page in order to find the server you're looking for. I mean, come on, it's 2025. This should not be a difficult thing to add. One thing that I do think Aska does that's really cool is their character creator. You don't just pick a character and customize their hair, body, and color, etc. There are currently 2 different characters that you can play as, with different stats, such as vitality, stamina, hunger, thirst, cold resistance, etc. Once you pick which character you're playing as, either Ragnar or Aska, then you can customize the character more, changing the hair, the color, the facial features, etc. The developers have stated that they're planning on adding more playable characters. This is great because it will give players more character options to pick that suit their play style. One cool feature related to the character creator is called God's Favor. I don't think a lot of players realize that these exist, again, because of the bad UI. Essentially, these are challenges that you can complete in the game to unlock additional cosmetic options for the characters. This is a cool way to entice players to complete challenges. And since the game can be so challenging, it can be difficult to complete some of the challenges. Showing off a cool hairstyle or a cool new tattoo that you unlocked for completing a difficult challenge is a cool way to entice players to keep playing the game and trying hard. It feels genuinely rewarding to use these cosmetic options that you've unlocked through the challenges. It's cool to see players being rewarded this way instead of selling paid cosmetics through DLC. The developers are super active. Sand Sailor Studio pushes out a solid content update approximately every 6 to 8 weeks and has been doing this since the game's release. I absolutely recommend you check out Aska and support this developer. They genuinely seem to care, and I personally love supporting developers like this. If you are a fan of RPGs, survival crafters, and survival games in general, this game is for you. It takes the best of multiple genres and meshes them together in a clean, polished, and fun experience. The added pressure of having to survive the waves of hordes coming for you and your villagers adds the extra spice to really set this game apart from other games like it. The world around you looks stunning. The trees, water, caves, stars, everything looks amazing. The different seasons all have unique looks, and the lighting in the game is beautiful. The buildings blend into the landscape perfectly, and it gives you a truly immersive experience that makes you feel like you are in the middle of a real Viking village in the harsh landscapes they once existed in. Aska is a shining example of what happens when developers who are clearly passionate about games takes the best of multiple genres and put it into a clean and polished product that feels unique from its competitors and offers a truly engaging experience. So yes, you should play Aska.